Hey, what's up, everyone? It's BDF44 coming at you with another video. So I realized that yesterday I was not able to make a video at all because I was so very busy at work. I had a good day though; it wasn't bad, but just no time at all. So today I'm able to kind of react to the things of yesterday, and it was quite a bit. First of all, happy 420 to everybody who celebrated. I'm definitely pro weed. Been pro weed since I was a kid, so there's no hiding that. And it was a good one for me. I didn't smoke that much at all, to be honest with you. I didn't, like I said, it was a work day. I did overtime last night, so yeah, man. But I did get a chance to relax and get the information on the verdict. Now, a lot of you probably know this already, but I work in a public place where, um, it's kind of like one of those situations where if people are rioting, this is one of the places they come to. And so, we were on edge as is, just thinking about what we would have to deal with on a personal level. And so, we were definitely listening to the news, and it just the timing of things. The information came in at the beginning of my shift, so we all got the information together, and it was a good moment, a sigh of relief. Everybody was tense. It's a multicultural, multi-colored group of people that I work with, so we were all very sensitive of one another's feelings. Kind of didn't really talk too much, but I think everybody was pretty much on the same page. And the verdict came in, and the verdict was read. Three counts, guilty of all of those charges. And from there, we were just very thankful. Everybody was relieved, peaceful. Peaceful day was ahead, and we knew it, and it was all right. So that was my experience getting the verdict. But my thoughts in regards to the verdict are unique in the sense that I've made videos about this, and I know you guys can go back and watch those if you choose to, from a year ago when this happened. But I've talked about it several times, and my whole thing with the George Floyd murder was that it felt like it was a staged event. Now that doesn't mean that it wasn't a real murder, because George Floyd 100% lost his life at the hands, or should I say, the knee of Derrick Chauvin. And Chauvin was held accountable, and I'm very thankful for that. But it took a conversation with another guard up there at my job to help me fully understand, that progress is something to appreciate. Because the way I saw this victory here it was like you giving me a little bit of something. Like for me, I looked at it like, you ever have somebody give you, you see in a movie, somebody's giving someone a duffel bag and it's real money on top, but fake money at the bottom, or bricks at the bottom, or some shit. That's what this feels like to me. That's what it feels like. And the reason why I say that is because I watched the film or the footage. I watched it. I was fortunate enough to be able to see it. I was one of the first people that I knew that I saw it, because someone that I had on Facebook, someone from overseas, someone that didn't live in this country, was able to get immediate footage, maybe close to 30 minutes after it took place. Um, and I was watching it. I was up at 6 in the morning. Some reason I'm always up at 6 in the morning when monumental things happen. It just works out that way. But I was up, wide awake when this footage hit, and nobody was aware of it. It had only been shared once. When I saw it, I clicked on it. I couldn't even read it. You know what I mean? But I saw it was a police officer, and I saw it was a black man laying on the floor, or whatever the still looked like. So I clicked on it and watched the entire thing. By 7 in the morning, I had already shared it, and by 8 o'clock, it had gotten around. Everybody knew about it. And when I was watching it in real time, my thing was, the cops look like they are putting on a show. It's like to me, and I don't know if anybody else saw it this way, but it looked like they were playing for the camera. They knew they were being recorded, and they were acting. That's what it felt like to me. Chauvin was putting on a show. Chauvin was Hulk Hogan when he's pinning somebody with a 1, 2, 3 count. That's what it looked like to me. And it was like, from my perspective, I understood that we were in the middle of the Colin Kaepernick Black Lives Matter movement situation. Colin Kaepernick's signature, protest, and that of what the NFL has been talking about is kneeling. You know what I mean? And here we have this elaborate snuff film demonstration with the Caucasian cop kneeling on this guy's neck. Like, if you don't see the symbolism in that and you think that that's some type of coincidence, we don't think alike. Because I don't think that is a coincidence. I thought that was symbolism. I thought he was doing that on purpose. I thought he was speaking directly to anybody who would dare kneel. I think he's from that cloth of individual who would be offended at such a thing. And I think he was representing a great deal of individuals when he was demonstrating what he was demonstrating in that murder. Okay? That's what I thought, and that's what I still think. I think that this is a conspiracy theory, no question. I have no proof of what I'm saying, obviously, but what I'm telling you is, this is what it felt like to me. This is what I gathered from what I was watching. That ultimately, Derrick Chauvin was a fall guy. I think everything that we've seen, all of it, including the trial, was planned. I think there was a good chance that Derrick Chauvin knew that he was going to be the sacrificial lamb for whatever this is. I think they knew that there would be civil unrest. I think they knew that they could, make a lot of money off of this, bring a lot of light to whatever, distract away from something else. A bunch of different things could happen at the same time in regards to an event like this. There's a lot of moving pieces that can stem from such an event. And I think that those plans are still in motion. I think that that trial was a freaking joke. And I think that the puzzled look on Chauvin's face when those counts of being guilty was read, I think that was a real reaction. Because I think he actually thought that he was going to get off. I think that he may have even been promised that he would be getting off. And I think that he was the right type of personality to be targeted, to be betrayed that way. Because he was arrogant. Arrogant enough to do it. Arrogant enough to display himself in such a way. And arrogant enough to think he was going to get off. Arrogant enough to think that they would keep their word to him. Whoever they are behind all of this. That's what I think. That's what I've always thought. That's what I thought 10 minutes into watching it. That's what I thought. I was like, this is bullshit. They're trying to piss us off. They're trying to initiate an event for us to rally around and go crazy over. I pretty much predicted what would happen next, more or less. There's going to be civil unrest. There's going to be people rioting in the streets. It's going to be all kinds of different people stepping up to the plate, talking about how we need to stop doing this and not doing that in terms of boycotting and things of that nature, sporting events. I knew this was going to happen. All of that was obvious to me. Why? Because that's the protocol of things that happen after an event such as this. When you see enough of these things in your life, after 36 years, I've seen a bunch of them. I know how this works. I was in LA for the LA riots. Seen it. I remember even the OJ trial. I was alive for that in LA. Seen it. Some of this stuff is from the same damn playbook. Even not to say that all those situations were initiated. But what I'm saying is, because of how they played out, you know what to expect. This isn't new. And you've seen it so many times. You've also seen people get acquitted a million times. But you realize that the reaction to this particular event was different. You realize that the people were at a fed up point. You realize that the people had a certain new level of confidence, a new level of aggression, and within that confidence to say, no, we will burn your city down if you don't get this right. And I think maybe the plan was not to betray Chauvin and make sure that he was whole and make sure he got off. But when they realized the demonstration of the people, when they realized they had more white people supporting this situation than they were probably anticipating, more powerful people, celebrities, and things of that nature, I think they said, you know what, this is going to be something that we have to do. We have to sacrifice this guy. We can't live up to our promises to Chauvin. Not as far as letting him free. That's what I think is happening. I've always thought this. This is not new thought. This is not an independent thought. I've discussed this with others. I've had debates. And I walk away feeling the same way every time. Why? Because of the knee. The knee gave it away for me. Too deliberate. Too intentional. Too much of a coincidence. Too much symbolism. The knee meant too much to all of us. To white people who were against the knee, it was in the forefront of their mind as the most disrespectful thing that a black person can do against their flag, against their their military against their beliefs. And for a black person who was supporting this, the knee meant so much because you are now taking a stand, so to speak, against oppression and racism and all the isms that black people suffer from. Okay, the knee meant too much. You can't tell me that he just so happened to have his knee on this man's neck because it was the only way to subdue him when he had 5 other people on his back as well. Which brings me to my next point. There were 5 other people on his back as well. Or 4. Maybe 4. I don't believe that a guy as big as George Floyd would have died if it was just the knee on his neck. If it was just the knee, if it was only Chauvin, that big black dude would not have died with that little white boy's knee on his neck. Nah, that wasn't enough pressure to kill that big ass dude. You would have needed all those people on his back to keep him down for him to be cut off here, and I'm pointing my stomach, on his back. You'd have to take a lot of air. It wouldn't just one knee from a guy that may be 170 pounds at the most. 180 pounds? What do you think Chauvin is? 180? Nah. George was a big dude. Now, if you catch somebody right, you can cut their air supply off, certainly. But that little white dude wasn't keeping him down by himself, bro. He wasn't. I'm sorry. George was a big man, an athletic man. That knee wasn't going to do it. But if you have about 4 or 5 other cops on his back, out of the line of sight of the camera, you might be able to pull it off. Especially if you do it for 10 minutes straight. Ambulance pulls up. They still on this man. This man been passed out for about 2-3 minutes. They still on him. Posing. And I mean posing. I'm looking at this and I'm looking at him in his eyes, man. He's playing for the camera. This is some fucking WWE shit. So as far as I'm concerned, man, no, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you guys that I'm not pleased with the verdict because we've been disappointed so much. And after the conversation I had with the gentleman I spoke with, he helped me understand the importance. You know, this is somebody who's 25, 30 years older than me. He understood the importance of appreciating progress and how long this battle's been going on. I've been alive since 84. So my perspective is that progress should come faster. That we shouldn't settle for small scraps. That we should resent the very existence of needing to be patient while we wait for racists to come around to seeing us clearly. I personally think that very idea should be fought against. That we gotta wait on them to come around to treat us right. But what we've always known is that they have all the money, that they have the numbers, that they don't have some of the things that would allow us an opportunity to win a battle against them because we're not really in proximity of them. And if we were to get close, they'd have National Guards and all kinds of crap come and knock us over. They control the media. They control the narrative of who we are. So it's hard for us to do certain things just in general without being identified quickly because it's been plastered all over the world for 100 years that we need to be watched closely. We are surrounded. That's why we must appreciate progress, slow progress, because we have been surrounded and outnumbered since we got here. That's the only reason why we have to accept slow progression. We have to wait for racists to come around and give us crumbs while they are rigging the game so that they can double down, triple down, and quadruple down on their investments and on their capital. So even though they're giving us little crumbs, they're continuing to stack and stack and stack. The more money they have, the more money they can make. Because, of course, money makes more money, makes more money. And they control the narrative, they control the media, they control how people view you based on the art that they choose to pour their investment funds into. You see all this stuff that I'm telling you about in various videos that I've been speaking on in regards to this topic. It's all related. It's all the same thing. It's to keep us weak. It's to keep us weak. And most importantly, not just to keep us weak, but to keep us appearing weak to those who are watching. Not weak in the sense of physical nature, because they're always going to want to paint us out to look like the Incredible Hulk. But weak in the sense that we can't defend ourselves against the attacks that they have. You understand what I'm saying? So as far as I'm concerned, this is only a partial victory. Chauvin being thrown in jail is something that they can hide behind and say, see, we did that for you. No, you didn't do that for me. You gave me what you wanted me to have, and you're telling me to be appreciative of it, just like you've always done. And for all I know, you set the entire thing up for that very thing. So that you can have this to say, see, we did this. George probably died because you wanted to be able to set up these events so that you could tell us, hey, we did this for you. Leave us alone. Back off. He put his knee on your neck. We threw him in jail forever. See, we're not that bad, guys. Sorry. Not buying. Not buying. You guys are as bad as you are. You're as bad as you look. And your playbook is old. Your playbook is outdated. That's what it really comes down to for me personally. Looking at some of this stuff, it's very, very easy to come into these conclusions because I've seen this shit so much, as I said already. And the symbolism that you guys use, the patterns from which you use the symbolism, the way that you put forth your displays, it's exaggerated. You're putting on. I can see through it. So y'all can celebrate this victory, and I see the fruit in it. I do. But I also understand that we're still being screwed. I also understand that they literally killed somebody the day before the verdict. You think that was on accident? Hell no. They were sending us a message. Let us know that they're going to still do what they got to do. Regardless of what happened to Chauvin, they can give a damn about Chauvin. They got 1 million Chauvins, and they're ready to enact their training on us. So as I said on Facebook, I'll say it here on my platform. And I have to be honest with you. Not every situation is the same, but this is how we must think. If you're an African-American person, you cannot expect that the cops are going to treat your situation of danger with the same level of sensitivity necessary to make you satisfied. They are coming and they're bringing their training with you. Regardless if you think that every bit of their training is justified or not, irrelevant to the point that I'm making. If you call the cops, they are bringing themselves and their training to your situation. You are not safe. If you are black and you call them, you're the one that could be shot. Now, that's not related to George Floyd because he didn't call the cops on himself. But it is related to the situation that happened yesterday at damn near at the same time. Young lady, 16 years old, was shot. Now, granted, she was lunging at somebody with a knife. Kind of hard to justify that. Kind of hard not to justify that. Kind of hard to throw a whole foot in the direction of trying to stand for her because she did have a very large knife in her hand and she was lunging at some other girl's neck, and that situation went left. But my point of view on that situation is the same with any point of view on the situation. She called the cops because some girls came to her house to jump her, from what I understand. And there's footage that I have not seen. The cops came there. She attacked one of the girls in front of the cops, and the cop pulled out the gun and shot her 4 times. Now, what I would have wanted the cop to do is pull the trigger once. But he was trying to neutralize the threat. They're taught to shoot for center mass. They're taught to put down the threat. And they see her as the Incredible Hulk, not as a 16-year-old girl. Now, had she been a little white girl, a $115, you know what I'm saying, with a knife in her hands lunging at somebody else, I don't think that goes the same way. But because they see us as larger-than-life LeBron James type athletic figures with superhuman powers and an inability to sense when we should and should not be vicious, since they view us this way, when you call them, you best to understand that's what they're bringing to you. That mentality, that training, and that insensitivity to who the hell you are and what your situation should be treated like. Call them, you get that. If I want to get wet, I jump in some water. If I want to get shot, I call the cops. It's so simple. That's where we at. And I'm sorry to the good cops out there, just like I'm sorry to the good white people out there. But as a black person, it's not time to try to differentiate who's who. If you know who you are, stand secure over there. Don't get mad at me for not being able to see who's who when it's 1 million y'all evil out here. Don't do that. Because if you were in my shoes dealing with the threats that we were dealing with, you wouldn't be trying to weed out who's good and who's not. You would trust who's good would stand aside and understand the plot. The plight, rather. You would expect that person who's good to stand aside and say, yo, they need space while they try to figure out who's who. It's not for me to internalize, hey, I'm a good white guy, I'm offended. Stand over there, you're not in danger. You can't understand my perspective. And if you were to, you'd probably die trying to deal with this. You don't even have the first idea or what it feels like to have to deal with racism like that. So just chill. We know who our allies are, and if we have any sense, we're not going to involve you in our beef. So if I say white people did this, if I say those people did that, and you're not one of those people, stand secure. I get that. I get that. But what I don't need is for you to remind me that there are a couple good people out there that I need to be aware of. Because there's a million bad people that I definitely need to be aware of. So that's the first thing I want to say about the black person's perspective. So a lot of people get offended by, oh my God, you're so racist. Oh, I got to defend my people. If you're going to defend your people, you better know what you're talking about. That's what I'll say to the people out there who are gonna see this video and be like, well, you're not being you guys. No. You better know what you're talking about. Circumstances we find ourselves in are because of plans placed in place by people who were thinking of you. Not me. Not my brothers outside. No. They were thinking about you. When they were thinking about how they need to make sure laws are in place, they need to make sure their police officers train a certain way is to protect you. We are who they are trying to protect you from, and we are not after you unless you do something to force us to be after you. That's how we've always been. And yet, propaganda has made it so that people see us a certain way. They have pushed these narratives. They've promoted this bull crap. They've empowered people, the most ignorant and the most vicious of us, to be the face of us on their platforms that they fund, that they own. Come on, man. At some point, we just got to stop being so sensitive as it pertains to, oh my God, can you relate? Have you been oppressed? No, it's called empathy. It's called looking at my brother and seeing him suffer. It's called looking over there and been through something similar. So to know that the extreme version of that thing that I've went through probably shouldn't be going through anything close to that. No one should be going through anything close to that. So if I see a much worse version of the type of treatment that I've received, I'm going to have some empathy for it because of it. You lacking that empathy speaks to the fact that you've never had it. You can't begin to relate to the empathy because you don't know where the first place the pain comes from. They sit on their high horses and they come from their perspectives and they tell us, hey, you're doing everything we're doing, actually. Deflection personified. And the thing about deflection is it's very easy to point at the other person and say they're deflecting. I know you are, but what am I? But it's like I always tell everybody else, the scales are not balanced. If anything I've done, it's because I'm reacting to something that you did first. That's the relationship here between blacks and whites. I'm sorry. I'm not here to be PC in this camera today. The scales aren't balanced, bro. Y'all started it. Period. If you want to undo it, you got to undo it with understanding. You're not going to undo it doing the same stuff you've been doing. That's just going to create more and more of the same. And I'm telling you, if I feel this way, from my limited perspective, there are people much more ignorant than me who are much more angry than I. There are people out there who are much more intelligent than me, who are much more poised to attack you for what it is that you've done here, for what you've continued to do here for 400 plus. And you think I'm going to sit back and think everybody's happy, everybody loves black people because Derrick Chauvin went to jail? Please. The fight continues. The charade continues. So the rest of us need to be eyes open and wide awake for everything that's to come next. Because we know it's not going to stop. We need an act of God, in my opinion, to stop the racism in this damn country. To unleash the intricate stranglehold that white supremacy has on this country and its culture. Need an act of God. Racism is the foundation of this country. You can hide from it. You can deny it. You can look at me and say, I don't know what I'm talking about. You can say, I don't relate to certain things or whatever. One of the favorite things that I've heard was, what do you relate to? What type of oppression have you gone through? And because I haven't gone through this or that and the third, I guess I'm supposed to just shut up and be on your side, right? Be critical of people who are saying that I've gone through something. Say, no, you ain't gone through nothing. Because I stand on my my bootstraps are laced up and I'm doing what I gotta do. So you haven't gone through nothing. Self-awareness is so important. to understand that your plight isn't the worst, but to still have empathy, it requires a certain level of intellect. It requires a certain level of sensitivity, a certain level of spiritual equity that I find missing a lot of time in the enemy. A lot. Shit ton. Missing. They don't feel nothing for no one but themselves. And any good deed that they feel they earned is because they did something good for somebody to look like them. Over it, man. I'm over it. I'm over the treatment. I'm over the perspective. I'm over the conversation. I'm over the murders. You understand what I'm saying? How much are we supposed to forgive? How many token good people are we supposed to point out to help us forget that we are under attack? There goes a good one over there. There goes a good one right there. That person's got my back. Like, that's how we have to act. And we're supposed to be thinking of all the good ones when we talk about all that's happened to us. That has to stop. That narrative has to stop. I want all of my friends to secure themselves and understand that if I love you and you know me, trust me. I ain't talking about you. That's the gist of what I want to say to end this video. My name is BDF44, man. Thank y'all for listening to this rant. It's a frustrated black man sick of the bull. That's it. One of millions. I don't know what comes next, but I can tell you this. We are far away from this bullshit being over. My name is BDF44, and I'm out.